I'd like to call the meeting of the Pittsburgh Regional Transit for February 28th to order. The first order of business, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silent reflection. Please stand if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we will begin with roll call. I have my sheet here. Mr. Cotton.
Here.
Member Fan. Here. Member McClenny. Here. Member Shakir. Here. Member Berginger.
Here.
I believe on the line we have Member Brewster.
Here.
Member Miskorsky. Here. Member Piscatano.
Here.
I should also say, sorry, I should have said Senator before those last two, so my apologies. Okay, the first order of business will be approval of the minutes. We have two approvals. First, we're going to approve the minutes for the annual meeting of January 31st, 2025. May I have a motion? Second. Motion second being heard. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The second approval of minutes will be for the January 31st, 2025 regular meeting. May I have a motion to approve? Motion. Second. Motion second being heard. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the report from our Chief Executive Officer. Catherine?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. May I please have a moment of silence for the following retired employees who have passed away since last we met. Transit Police Officer John King, Overhead Lines foreperson James Pace, Dispatcher William Bloomley, Route Foreman Donald Gunther, Maintenance Training Specialist Kenneth Porter, Maintenance Vehicle and Service Employee Joseph Colt, and Operators Ronald Chambers, John Wetzel, and John Griffin. I'd also like to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends and former colleagues of Jeff Parker, who was a former PRT employee and a CAT committee member, but is a staunch advocate for people with disability in transit. May I have a moment of silence? Thank you. So let's start off with the fun topics. I'd like to start off our conversation today with state funding for our PRT system. And the situation is not good. It is dire. We face $100 million, gosh, I wish it was only $1 million, right? $100 million budget deficit for the fiscal year that starts July 1st. Now, lest anyone think that we have been irresponsible, the time I have been here, PRT has functioned by taking money out of the bank, and that is how we are structured. Expenses always outstrip the growth of funding sources. And within public service, we have to come back and converge these lines on every now and then. With our funding structure under Act 89, we would have put money in the bank for 4 years, treaded water for 3 years, and then gone into the bank for 4 years. With prudent budgeting, we were able to extend that 4 years out, and then the pandemic hit. And so instead of going back for state aid, we were using COVID aid. So we are in the situation that transit agencies always find themselves in, having to say, hey, expenses continue to go past the growth of our revenues, and what is our long-term horizon? So again, the fiscal year starting July 1st with a status quo budget, that's no decrease in service, but no growth, is a $100 million deficit, grows to $110 million in next year. The math is simple. Without a new transit funding stream to support bus and rail in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and the entire Commonwealth, we will need to cut expenses, and that translates into cutting service. This doesn't just help our region in a time when there's so much effort invested in continuing to rebound from the pandemic to support residential growth and also business growth, employment, and just people getting around to where they want to go. Neighborhood business districts need bus and rail service, not only to draw customers, but to get employees to and from their shop. Large employers don't want to build and maintain large parking garages. And you've heard me say that. You have heard every urban planner, me should say this, parking is the worst thing you can do with your dirt. It's the lowest return on investment. It has a big environmental footprint, and it just does not make sense. Contractors in our region and statewide seek to do business with PRT and in turn help support their communities through taxes and employment. By investing in our local communities, both with our wages and with our projects, we are an economic generator. PRT alone is one of our region's largest employers with over 2,000 employees, and our employees spend their earnings virtually in every municipality in this region. We make house payments. If your kids are older, you make rent payments. We are retirements. We are family members in senior facilities. We are the paint for the hot rod sitting in your garage that you're fixing up. Our folks spend a lot of money just by themselves. If we are forced to cut service, our regional benefits fade and our ability to be a major employer is also impacted. The role and benefits of public transit are as vital to Pittsburgh and southwestern PA as highways and bridges. Now, we have received nothing but support from and encouragement from many of our state and elected legislators, but we need support from many more of our leaders if we're going to get adequate, reliable funding that supports our system in the region. Now, PRT will need your support in this, your support, everyone's support, as our discussions continue on in Harrisburg. And our region deserves a robust transit system to support our future. Now I'm going to change to one of my favorite topics, which is plinths. Say that 5 times quickly. You might not know what a plinth is, but it is a critical part of our light rail system. Where our rail gets bolted into the concrete through downtown, that is your plinth. Rail vibrates. Does concrete vibrate? The answer is it should not, but it will when rails are running on top of it. So we have to maintain our plinths for safe operation. And I am super happy to share that we have successfully replaced the concrete beams that support our rail tracks throughout the downtown subway. We started in 22, and today we are done. Everybody, yay. That was a really bad yay, but that's okay. It's a Friday. We're online. It's cool. If you're really interested, we have an awesome video on YouTube that talks about what goes on with plinths. It has 1,500 views, which for us in transit land is pretty viral. It's also really cool. You have small children at your house who like mechanical stuff, put it on loop. You're set for the day. We were shifting from plinth over to the Mount Washington Tunnel. Again, concrete does not vibrate. When you have rail in it, you have to come back and fix things. We don't have an option to put this construction off. So if you are on a route or on a rail line that normally goes through the Mount Washington Tunnel, we are taking you over through Allentown and we are going through Wabash. It's longer, but it is safer. And nicely, we're down to 1 project as opposed to 2 that we're doing at the same time. This is all part of our multi-year $150 million investment to improve light rail infrastructure. It's been a lot of work for our planning folks, our engineers, our rail folks, and our operations folks. So thank you to everybody inside who makes it happen. And thank you to all of our patrons who are putting up with a longer trip for safety's purposes. And then I will close out on talking about National Transit Driver Appreciation Day. It's also known as Transit Employee Appreciation Day because while many of our patrons were able to speak to the drivers who are out there, their operators, the other heroes here are the route foremen, the dispatchers, and also our 800 maintenance personnel, our customer service folks, the people who make sure transit is supported completely. March 18th, PRT, along with transit supporters across the country, will celebrate the employees who drive, operate, maintain, and keep fancy all the services we have out there. At PRT, we primarily recognize transportation and maintenance employees on this day, but then we also do an entire National Employee Appreciation Day on March 7th. So if you know someone who works at PRT or retired at PRT, and I swear everyone I've ever met in Pittsburgh knows somebody who used to work here, please take some time on the 18th or the 7th even to tell them thank you for keeping our region going. And Chair Liptak, unless there's any questions, that concludes my remarks for today.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Appreciate that. We're going to move on to our report for the Performance and Oversight Committee. Member McClenny, you're going to be handling this today.
Oh,
Or is that you?
yeah. I think Senator Piscatana.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's right. He's not. I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought, so he is on the line. Sorry, Senator.
No problem. You ready for me?
We're always ready for you, even though I tried to skip you. I apologize. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. The Performance Oversight Committee met last week, and I have 3 resolutions for the board's consideration today. The committee first reviewed 4 procurement items and determined the bids to be in accordance with PRT's procurement policies and procedures and the prices to be fair and reasonable. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends authorizing the awards of bids listed in the resolution for the total amount of $3,754,054.40. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
Thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Hearing a motion second,
moved.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next resolution I have for your consideration seeks authorization to enter into an interagency cooperative agreement with the city of Pittsburgh. The city owns, operates, and maintains a pedestrian stairway which ends at Heron Avenue. The city proposes replacing the stairway, allowing for a more direct pedestrian connection to PRT's Heron Avenue station on its east busway. And in order to complete the project, the city requires access to and use of a small portion of PRT's busway. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends entering into the agreement with the city throughout the project. I respectfully request that the board approve this resolution as well.
Thank you. With that, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second. Take that a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Oh, sorry. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The final resolution I have for the board today is to award a contract for the Castle Shannon Park and Ride Rehabilitation Project. The work includes things such as lighting, asphalt, concrete, parking, lot paving, and sidewalk work. To perform the work for this contract, bid documents were prepared and publicly advertised, and 6 bids were received. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends awarding the contract to A. Moranti Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $2,932,354, subject to completing all pre-award requirements. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution as well.
Thank you. With that, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second. Hearing a motion second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Senator. Appreciate it. Okay, our next report will be reported to the Planning and Stakeholder Relations Committee, and I believe Member Pham will be handling this report today.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm stepping to some big shoes. So, good morning, everyone. The Planning and Stakeholder Relations Committee met last week, and I have a few items for the board. First, staff presented the fiscal year 2024 annual service report. The report, which covers July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, evaluates performance against board-established service standards, including ridership, crowding, on-time performance, and out-of-service information, as well as equity and Title VI analysis. Some major highlights discussed included steady ridership and a slight increase in service hours. Operating costs saw a slight increase, and service was impacted by bus operator shortages, which was addressed with a significant effort to hire bus operators. Total ridership topped 33 million, with a slight decline in bus ridership, while all other modes increased, including light rail, inclined, and paratransit. Bus ridership reporting was impacted by a change in passenger counting software. The new software seems to be more accurate, but accounts for an approximate 7% drop in reported ridership from the older software. Bus on-time performance decreased slightly due to construction-related delays and detours, while rail on-time performance declined slightly due to planned capital construction projects. The out-of-service level exceeded PRT's threshold of 1.5% by 0.2%, impacted by the bus operator shortage. According to the Title VI evaluation, minority routes and low-income routes were more likely to be crowded, which PRT will continue to monitor. In October 2023, in response to operator shortages, and as a part of the early implementation of the upcoming PRTX service changes, PRT modified the 61D, 71A, 71C, 71D routes to turn around in Oakland. This was a neutral change in service levels for the 61 series route, but about a 25% decrease in service on the 71 series. This resulted in a decrease in ridership on those routes, as well as a slight increase in crowding. PRT is targeting service improvements in areas where we've not met our service standards, including out of service, which has already been largely addressed with the robust hiring efforts. PRT is also looking closely at on-time performance and crowding, specifically on minority and low-income routes, and especially those impacted by the fiscal year 24 major service reduction. PRT continues to advance other projects which directly support these service goals, including Next Transit Downtown, the PRTX University Line Bus Rapid Transit Project, and most notably, the bus line redesign project. Next, staff presented the quarterly update on the University Line BRT project. Phase 2 of the project began in January in the Uptown and Oakland neighborhoods, while Phase 1 in downtown is estimated to be completed by the end of June. PRT stations will be installed at 5 locations downtown with dedicated bus lanes and traffic signals. Bus route 61A, 61B, 61C, and 71B will have their routings officially updated with June's schedule changes. Between March and June, work will occur throughout 5th and Forbes Avenue corridors in Uptown and Oakland at small temporary work zones, which will last from 1 to 2 days, doing underground utility work and traffic signal foundations. Larger work zones are expected when pavement restoration starts in the summer. The Allegheny County Transit Council met on February 26th. Staff provided the council with an overview of the light rail accessibility program and the 2024 annual service report. Their next scheduled meeting is March 26th. The Committee on Accessible Transportation did not meet in February. Their next regularly scheduled meeting is March 6th. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next report is the report of the Finance Committee. And I believe, I'm Steve. Yeah, right. Looking at I'm trying to find my note for who was doing what, so I apologize for my disorganization as it appears. Please, Emma.
Good morning, Madam Chair and fellow members. The Finance Committee met last week. One resolution and the January 2025 financial results were presented. The resolution seeks authorization to extend and amend an agreement for financial audit and pension plan audit services. In February 2021, the board awarded an agreement to Maher Dussel to provide these services for an initial 3-year term for a total authorized not to exceed amount of $313,500, and later extended the agreement by exercising a 1-year option, increasing the total not to exceed amount to $426,000. The Finance Committee recommends extending the term of the agreement with Maher Dussel to March 25th, 2026. And further seeks authorization to increase the total authorized not to exceed amount by $86,450. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
Thank you. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion second, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
The following January 2025 financial results were also presented at the meeting. It was reported that the total operating income for January was below budget by just over $100,000 due to lower than budgeted fares and access revenue. Total expenses for the month of January were below budget by $3.7 million due to lower expenses in every category compared to budget. Total operating income is about $519,000 higher than last fiscal year through January due to higher passenger revenue and interest income. Total expenses through January are $500,000 less than last fiscal year due to lower employee benefits because of a 1-year reduction in pension expense. Total subsidy through January is $68.6 million lower than last fiscal year due to the completion of the federal stimulus invoicing and lower preventative maintenance invoicing. Finally, it was reported that PRT ended January with $412.4 million in operating reserves. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have new business, and I'll be handling this new business today. We have two items on the agenda. The first item will be the Chief Executive Officer Annual Performance Bonus. As part of the terms of her employment agreement with PRT, CEO Catherine Kellerman is eligible for her performance bonus of up to 20% of her base salary. Each year, the PRT board determines her performance during the year prior to determining the amount. The board has determined that Catherine's attainment at a high level of performance by achieving goals and meeting key metrics. Therefore, the board has concluded that Catherine is entitled to receive a 93.46% of the eligible amount of her bonus. Therefore, I now present a resolution to the board seeking approval to grant Catherine a 93.46% of the eligible annual bonus amount based on her 2024 salary. With that, I will ask for a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Bring a motion in second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. My next item of business will be, I'll just get it here. The Chief Executive Officer's Second Amendment and Reinstatement of Employment Agreement. PRT's Chief Executive Officer, Catherine Kellerman, has an employment agreement with PRT that contains, among other things, her compensation structure and the length and term of her role here as CEO. The current agreement between PRT and Catherine is set to expire at the end of 2025. During the term of her agreement, Catherine has consistently performed at a high level. She has met and exceeded expectations concerning the operation and financial performance of PRT and has guided the organization through difficult times, and her vision for PRT's future has been remarkable. PRT's board has determined that it is in the best interest of the organization to extend the term of Catherine's employment to December 31st, 2029, so that PRT can continue to benefit from her dedication and her leadership. The board has therefore offered to Catherine a new employment agreement called the Second Amendment and Reinstatement Employment Agreement, and Catherine has agreed to the terms of the proposed agreement. I have a resolution to present to the board authorizing me on behalf of the board to execute the Second Amendment and Reinstatement Employment Agreement with CEO Catherine Kellerman. With that, I will request a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. With hearing a motion in second, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. With that, personally, I'd like to say thank you, Catherine, for your leadership. And please, I'm glad that you're here to continue to guide us into the future. Thank you. Moving on to our next item of business, we have public comment. Amy Zace. Hi, Amy. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time this morning. I want to first echo CEO Catherine Kellerman's comments about the need for sustained funding for transit. I would say it's, for my livelihood, perhaps even more important than highway funding. So I thought I'd share a few comments of how my experience has been as a rider in the past couple of months. Some good things lately. I'm a Beachview resident, so I'm largely riding the rails. I also am downtown, all over the place. So riding over Allentown is awesome. I think it's been handled very well. Like, there's real-time tracking. I can anticipate when the train's coming. It's not that long of a delay. Also, I don't get up there often enough, so I'm likely to hang out there more. And I hope the businesses are also benefiting from this detour. I think the temporary use of Penn Station is always in my favor because it's one of the most beautiful transfer points in the city to go from rail to busway. I don't have to get wet like I do at Steel Plaza. The addition of the Ready Fare service on the payment platform has been really valuable to me personally. I found the process honestly too cumbersome before because I don't buy monthly passes or anything. And now I use it all the time. I think it's great. As somebody who is a bit of a transit data nerd, I've come here last month to ask about the annual service report. I wanted to share a few of my comments as well. First of all, big kudos to the data and analytics team at PRT. I think the report clearly acknowledges and explains some big variances we saw last year that were concerning to many, even regular riders like me. Regarding the ridership loss due to the short-term buses, I would encourage and urge PRT leadership to prioritize finding a way to restore service. That's now some of the most crowded buses in the system. And I think the ridership loss is significant, and the longer it persists, the harder it is to win back riders. Also, I think the report shows that there's still a long way to go before meeting service standards on on-time performance, crowding, and I would urge PRT to focus on that rather than, well, obviously there are no expansion plans given financial circumstances, but as a rider, I would prefer to see better on-time performance than new service. And then lastly, regarding communication, it continues to be a pain point as a rider. For example, about 2 weeks ago, it was the 19th, the Red Line had an emergency detour. The system was working well when the detour happened because I got an SMS alert to my phone, perfect, system working as intended. Service wasn't restored though until the next day, and that didn't come through as an SMS message. So as a rider, I had to go on to Twitter, or excuse me, X, which is another point. I am lately finding that platform basically unusable, was trying to quit it, and discovered when I deactivated my account that a public user can't even see PRT's latest tweets without creating an account. That's like a pretty large burden for a regular rider just to figure out real-time information. So the SMS alerts, in my opinion, are great, robust. Keep that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Our next speaker is Chaz Williams. Hello, Mr. Williams, welcome.
Morning. I wanted to continue my statement from the January meeting. I left off speaking about the right to know request that I submitted and was denied because of the threatening and harassing behavior. Although as the employee, I was chased down for 2.5 blocks. But again, I was saying that I was convinced that Mike Setra nor either member of the board or anybody in leadership saw the video, because perhaps if that would have been seen, I probably wouldn't be here. But while I'm mentioning threatening and harassing behavior, I hope that you will take a more serious look at the incident that I informed you about concerning your director of service delivery. As management, I will hope that they are governed by the same standard as entry-level employees, or a standard that is much higher. The performance code that I was held to should be at least the same when it comes to management, because you would discover that there were 4 violations that under that performance code. And they are as follows: the general rule violation. It was number 9, the discourtesy and disrespectful behavior. The major rule violation, number 10, engaging in acts of violence, fighting, or intimidating or threatening behavior on duty or on Port Authority property. Number 11, engaging in conduct on or off duty, which may damage the reputation of Port Authority or disrupt the work environment, or results in an employee's unavailability for work due to incarceration. Number 18, unauthorized disclosure or misuse of confidential information. I'm not sure what Andre has heard or been made aware of, but I've been told that I needed to file a police report. Perhaps while this might be getting covered up, I don't know, but I can remember when a privileged male making a phone call to his friend and writing a false statement that put me out of a job within weeks, without imposing any threat or danger to him or his family. Had the complaint been valid, I'm sure I would have been stopped by the police that he probably should have called at the time. Or if he was in imminent danger, I would have been stopped by perhaps a route foreman and removed from the bus immediately. But an 1.5 hour long video shows me going about my day until I was met with hostility from a random stranger. and again on December 11th, 2024. I am once again going about my day until I was met by hostility by your director of service delivery. It is my expectation that you will take this matter very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. See Andrew here. Is Andrew Hussein, is he online? Andrew Hussein. Can you check to see if he's online? Andrew's not online? Okay, if he pops on, will you let me know? He's usually on there. Matisse Collins, did I say that right?
Matisse, like the painter.
I did it, okay. Thank you, welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. I just have a few questions. I used to be a former PRT employee, and in my 90 days was kind of rough. But I just want to know, what is the purpose of paying into the union if the union, if you have meetings, can't fight for you? Because the union rep told a family member of mine, if I would have known she was your cousin, I would have fought a little harder for her. Even when you have meetings, or I can't think of what they're called, or sanctions at this time, if they're busy with another operator, yours may be rescheduled. I've seen operators who had 2 days left out of their 90s take 2 buses out of commission, still has their job. I've also seen people of my class take out massive amount of stop signs, car doors or mirrors. They still have their employment. So I've even seen one operator, which is unsafe, turn the bus around in the middle of the Rankin Bridge with people on the bus. They still have their job. So I'm just sitting here trying to understand, we're not perfect. We all make mistakes. But for me, I fought hard where I gave up 2 jobs to come to PRT, and for me to have a minor mistake and for them to, let me go, but say that I can come back within a year, where I lose a lot of seniority. No one wants to, at this time, keep getting off at 2:22, 2:35, 2:45 in the morning. To start all over again is kind of like a hurt piece. But for me, for us to pay into the union, and we're still in our 90s and the union can't fight for us, what's the purpose of them having a union, taking the dues out of your paycheck for them not to be able to come into this meeting and have your back? So what am I paying into this union for? Those were just my concerns and my questions. Sometimes they may have their pick of who they choose to fight for. I believe everyone is created equal and should get the same treatment as everyone else, whether I'm in my 90s or I've been here for 15, 20, 30 years. So that was my kind of like put a bad taste in my mouth with Port Authority, being that I gave up so much to come here. Early morning swing shifts, you miss a lot with your children working with PRT, and no one sees that. Everyone sees us a good job, got great benefits, you could retire, but you don't see the sacrifice that a lot of these employees make. And then you have older operators that don't want to take the students out. It's just like a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer. Everyone needs experience. Thank you.
Final speaker is Cody Kirk.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, welcome, please begin.
Yes, I am trying to address the board today in regards to an issue that occurred on January 7th of 2024 at approximately 11:47 a.m. on West Clarkson Street near the Duquesne Incline. I was a passenger or patron aboard the 28X Airport Flyer, bus 6548. in which I suffered a muscle strain or injury in connection with a auto collision to my back and shoulder, and sought compensation after reporting the collision. Um, my question or concerns that I have was, why wasn't the city of Pittsburgh police involved in the investigation during the occurrence on county-owned property, which would have resulted in an investigation of the collision and documentation of the scene involving the Port Authority vehicle. I am also asking that the board approve my claim for compensation, which I am seeking without litigation, moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. With that, I don't believe we have any more speakers or any more business to come before the board today. Our next meeting will be Friday, March 28th, 2025. And with that, I will call this meeting to adjournment. Thank you, everyone.